How's it going, everybody? It's the Keenest Fox here. Today is my channel where I talk about anime, video games, and cartoons. And if you read the title of the video, you already know what I'm talking about. It's going to be about High Guardian Spice, or High Spice Guardian. I usually like to call it High Spice Guardian myself. So if I call it High Spice Guardian at some points in this video, then you already know the reason why, because I'm explaining it here. It just feels more natural for me, I guess, to say just say High Spice Guardian than say High Guardian Spice, but I'll be calling it either way. I don't really care. I have no respect for this show. It's very terrible. It's yeah. So yeah, it's already been this whole thing on the internet and whatnot. People don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, and obviously I'm going to talk about it. So yeah. So like I said, this is going to be a complete review bomb. So for the people that came here and just thought, hey, this guy might actually like the show and he might actually say something good about it. Well, I'll give it its props, but I don't. There's nothing good about this show in my honest opinion. And I will be giving my complete opinion about this. It's not going to just be me just say, yeah, that's shit, that's shit, that's shit. I'm actually going to explain why this is shit and whatnot, or at least to me why it's shit, or why it's terrible, or why it's ass, basically. Why the show is completely unwatchable. Why it's you get the gist. So. Anyways, but yeah, so here's the thing. So for me, I don't know. I like to hate watch some stuff at times, and when it came to like High Guardian Spice, I was thinking that this is going to be on like one of those websites or something that I go to watch anime and cartoons and stuff. I would not be saying any of those because I don't know what's the whole deal with that. But anyways, I was going to go to those sites, but then I couldn't find it there. I was like, wow, they haven't put it on there yet or nothing. Because yeah, usually, but nope. Because the show is so bad that even the websites that I go to for anime and cartoons didn't even want to put it on there. So I was like, damn. So I went ahead and and I'm so petty for this, but I went ahead and actually bought a subscription to Crunchyroll myself, just so I could watch this show. And it's not like it's just, money thrown away. I mean, I'm going to use Crunchyroll for other reasons and stuff, because I could actually watch other animes and stuff. That's actually how I caught back up with One Piece. Well, to an extent. I mean, I caught up with One Piece because of the manga, but I could probably stay better on track with One Piece if I continue watching Crunchyroll. Same thing for Yashihime and stuff, and other shows and stuff. So that'd be pretty fun. But anywho, I'm getting off topic. So, anyways, yeah, I was petty enough to buy Crunchyroll just because I wanted to see what this show was like, because there was a lot of buzz on the internet about this show. And I was like, man, I can't help but see it. I gotta see it. I gotta see what the talk of the town is all about, Like, why is this show so terrible? And whatnot. At least from my perspective, why do I think it's so terrible? But yeah. And honestly, I don't think this is the worst show ever. Like, I mean, it's the fucking garbage as hell. I mean, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I gotta say that, personally myself, I've seen other terrible shows, unfortunately, for me. And when shows like, I want to say Thundercats Roar, that was terrible. Masters Universe Revelations, that was fucking ass. Like, I didn't even watch the second season, or I haven't even watched it yet. It's probably going to be like another 5 episodes. I could be wrong. But the first one was like 5 episodes, and it was like, just, I don't know. Tila was a complete unlikable bitch. She was even worse than fucking Amber, in my honest opinion, from Invincible. And they fucking cucked He-Man big time, and Kevin Smith lied and shit and whatnot. It was terrible. So Master Universe Revelations, that shit was garbage. I had to say, at least in High Guardian Spice's to its credit, I had to say it's better than Master Universe Revelation. To its credit though. And then also What If. I didn't like What If. Now some people might like What If, and maybe some people might disagree with me right here that I said that High Guardian Spice is better than What If. But honestly, I don't like What If either. I actually personally hate that show. I have to say that What If. I just don't like it because of the character assassination and all that other bullshit. It was terrible. And then what else? What If, and then Thundercats Roar. That was terrible. And then Magical Girl Friendship Squad. That fucking piece of shit. Yeah, I can't think of a show that's even worse than that show. That's the worst. That was the biggest waste of time I've ever watched. Like, I've ever had in my whole life, was watching Magical Girl Friendship Squad, because that shit was so ass. But High Guardian Spice. But yeah, at least it's better than those shows that I just named off. But it's still a terrible show, nonetheless. So I'll be talking about it. So I'll be talking about the characters. I'll be breaking down some of the episodes, and then I'll be talking about like why this just the things that I just have a problem with. Of course, I'm going to be talking about all those things, but yeah. So let's get into it. So on a side note, I will be comparing what you call it, High Guardian Spice or High Spice Guardian. I know it's High Guardian Spice. I'm going to be comparing this show to my actual favorite anime, called Slayers, not Demon Slayer, Slayers, which is another D&D type of anime, which is done infinite, like not even 1,000, affinity times better than this shit show and whatnot. So I'll be talking about that later at some point in this video, like later on, probably towards the end or something, if I remember. But anyways, but let's talk about some of the characters. So first up, we got Rose. Rose is basically this pink hair leftist, swordsman and whatnot. Personally, myself, when I just think of this character, I just three things go to my mind. One, she's annoying, obviously. I mean, most of the characters in the show is annoying, but I feel like, yeah, she's just annoying. Like, she's supposed to be like this quirky, likable character and whatnot. And I feel like that's kind of falling into a little bit of a stereotype with these type of like female centric, like these female leads and stuff. Like these bubbly geek girls or something like I don't know, like Ruby Rose from Ruby, Star Butterfly from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Luz Nocento from Owl House. But the thing is, though, those characters are actually likable. Rose is not, and whatnot. Rose is just annoying. So yeah, and then the other two things that go to my mind about this character is I think she's an amateur fighter and that she's very sensitive, and whatnot. And I'm not saying a good character can't be sensitive and whatnot, but I just feel like there's just a time and place, and it's just like whenever she gets sensitive and cries over something, it's just oh yeah, it's not the time and place for that, in my honest opinion. But yeah. So that's what I think of Rose. And then again, like I said, she's an amateur fighter. One of my major problems is like how she goes from like she's an amateur fighter in my opinion. Like she starts off in the beginning of the series like just swinging around her sword, carrying it with her and stuff. She even breaks at some point, and then yeah, like so she has no care for her weapon. She doesn't know how to wield a sword, but yet by like let's say like by the end of like around the end of the season one, she knows how to fight with her sword, right? Despite she has no mentors going to train her up, or whatever, no notable training, none of that stuff. But yet she's a like competent sword fighter. That makes no sense, not at all, in my honest opinion. I gotta say that right up front. So that's just my opinion on that. Next up, I got Sage. She's the deuteragonist, and whatnot. The second player, that type of thing. Sage is this blue-haired magic girl. She's supposed to be like a mage, like in those D&D games and stuff. She has a pet mimic, which is kind of interesting, I guess. A little treasure chest with the like mouth and the tongue and all that. Yeah, that's called a mimic or something. They're usually in those like sorcerer type games or those like D&D stuff. I think usually they're supposed to be like enemies or something whenever you open up a treasure chest. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So when I think of this character, Sage, I feel like when I look at this character, when I think of this character, I really question the magic or the power system in this show, because they have two types of abilities, for at least magicians, that is, and that's old magic and new magic, right? And I feel like they don't do a good job at differentiating, because I honestly can't tell you what's the difference unless I had to look back on the episode, but I cannot honestly tell you the difference between old and new magic and whatnot. I just can't. And basically with this character, her whole arc is that basically she's trying to learn new magic, or she's been taught old magic her whole life, and then all the kids who in her class and stuff, they all know new magic, and she's all like, oh well, I don't know, my mom would be all like, yeah, that type of thing. And it's supposed to be a nod to like conservative values and liberalism, if it isn't obvious enough. They even at one point even said, why are you being so conservative, at one point in the episode, which is so stupid. But and that's so stupid how the writers thought that was going to be a smart idea to incorporate into their writing. And yeah, it was very stupid. And I'm going to also go into detail about that later too, about the power system, because I got to really talk about that and how that doesn't work, how this has worked better in other like actual legitimate animes like Naruto or whatever. But anyways, so yeah, so when I think of this character though, yeah, I really question the magic in the power system. I mean, she's a cute looking character, but yeah, I question that too, and I don't think this character is likable either. I don't really have any care for these characters. There's nothing that makes you want to care for them. So yeah. So then next up we have another one of the main characters, and that is Parsley. Parsley is this blonde dwarf girl who's like she's a blacksmith. So yeah, and she's like fights with a hammer and stuff, and basically again, there's no substance to her character besides that she like takes care of, like, she comes from a big family composed of like mostly her brothers, and she's like the oldest sibling and whatnot. And she takes care of her brothers and whatnot. They always try to remind you almost all the time, and I feel like that's supposed to be like Brock from Pokemon, like a similar setup to like Brock, because Brock from Pokemon, like the thing about Brock is that Brock, how do I put this? He was a gym leader, obviously. His parents ran away so they could become Pokemon trainers. So that kind of left Brock kind of in charge at a young age of his siblings and stuff, who he had to watch over and whatnot. And he was like 17 when he started traveling with Ash. So yeah. So that was Brock. Had to take care of like most of his siblings and whatnot. And there was like a lot of them. His parents were absent. So yeah. So you got to feel for the guy. And whatnot, right? And also you can chalk up to why Brock is so compassionate and why he's so good at like, what he does, like cooking and nursing, because, he had to take care of his siblings and whatnot. Yeah, all that makes sense. But the thing with Parsley is that Parsley has a lot of siblings, right? And her parents are like present. So yeah, like she does have her mom and dad who can take care of them as well. So it's not like it's not like in that type of like depth. It's not as in depth as Brock, because Brock's parents weren't around, but Parsley's parents are. So it's not like, oh well, Parsley's like, oh well, I've been taking care of my brothers and stuff. Now I think it would be better for the characters if her like brothers looked up to her and was like, they want to be a hero or something like Parsley, or they idolize her. Yeah, that would make much more better sense in my opinion. But the whole her taking care of them and her parents are still around, that doesn't make any sense to me, at least, unless I guess they had a I don't know, come from a poor background or something, and then their parents are like constantly working, then that would make a little bit more better sense. But nope, none of that. So yeah, that's just basically Parsley's character and whatnot. She's very friendly and outgoing to the other characters and whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. And then the last main character we have is Time, and Time is basically she kind of reminds me a lot of like she's like Blake Belladonna from Ruby. I mean, pretty much High Guardian Spice is basically like a weaker version of Ruby, and Ruby's kind of falling off too. I mean, I like Ruby, or I used to like Ruby to an extent, but it just feels like it's a little bland now. But hey, at least it's not on this quality though as High Spice Guardian or whatever. So yeah, but Time is supposed to be like the Blake Belladonna character. Basically, she has this whole tragic story where she's an elf, like she's this black elf girl, and I think her forest or some shit got like overtaken or got destroyed or something, and she wants to restore it back to normal. She has some complications with her parents, especially her mom. I don't remember if her dad died or something like that or whatever, but I think he used to be like the leader of the village or something like that. But yeah, that's Time's character, basically. And I feel like she might be the more competent of the bunch, but she's supposed to be like that downer type of character or whatever, which I'm like, yeah, okay. But it just, in terms of like execution, I don't know. I just don't think any of these characters are really that good, or you can really care for them, Right. So, yeah, so that's all the characters. Now I'm going to move on to my next subject, now that we've got a little familiarity with all that. That's going to be going down. Alright, so I'm going to actually talk about some of the supporting characters real quick. Then I'm going to move on to just talking about the voice acting and whatnot. I'm no professional at voice acting. I'm no professional at voice acting. I don't really have not much of a, I have some idea because I've been reading a certain book, which I'll get into in a second. But let's talk about some of the supporting characters, because I'm going to be bringing some of them up. as well, other than the main four. So first up, we got Snapdragon. So basically, Snapdragon is like this. He's this redhead ginger kid, and whatnot, who's basically struggling with his sexual identity and whatnot. And he's supposed to be like this secondary kind of bully character to the main characters and stuff, because he's friends with this one girl named Amaryllis or some shit. But yeah. So that's Snapdragon. I guess he's kind of one of the more interesting characters, but again, that doesn't mean he's well written or he's not good. Nah, he's not good. This show's not good in general. Next up, we got Amaryllis. That's how I pronounce her name. I could be wrong on how to pronounce her name, but basically, she's this purple hair girl. Basically, she's kind of like the mean girl, the bully, and whatnot. She basically antagonizes Sage and Rose for like no legitimate reason whatsoever. I mean, usually a mean girl would have a reason to want to, like, I don't know, pick on someone else per se, like pick on the some like on the girl, like on another girl or something, would be because, I don't know, either they're jealous of their looks or they got beat by them in a competition or something, that kind of thing. But it's just like, oh no, Amaryllis just doesn't like them because, I don't know, just because. But then, I mean, obviously, gradually she's supposed to be becoming more so like a friend to them later on and whatnot. But yeah. And then next up, we got Professor Cartway. There's a lot of other teacher characters in this show, but I think I'm going to talk about Professor Cartway. Basically, Professor Cartway is he's basically a, how do I put this? So he's basically Rose's mom, right? Her Lavender, that's Rose's mom's name. Basically, Lavender's childhood friend and whatnot. He's kind of like the Dumbledore or the of the school and whatnot. He's like the professor, or at least he's not the big like he's not the old, like, not the head honcho of the school, but he's like the principal and whatnot, or kind of like that. He's a magic user, and apparently he's trans. So when I first saw this character, I was thinking to myself, so wait, he's trans, and he looks a lot like the show, like the showrunner, the creator of the show, Ray Rodriguez, who is also a trans man. And then I heard like that somebody said that they had the same, like, that Ray Rodriguez voices this character. And I'm like, yeah, this dude's clearly a self-insert. Now, personally myself, I'm going to just, talk about this for a second. And sorry if you hear the noise in the background. This is Trash Day. But, and I'm making this video on Trash Day, apparently. But the thing about self-insert characters, at least in my opinion, I don't think it's wrong. Like, I don't think self-insert characters are completely wrong. Now, but I feel like it depends on how they're handled. Like, if it's like something like, I don't know, fucking I Am Not Starfire, where the main character, Mandy Coriander, who doesn't look anything like Starfire, she's overweight for some reason, even though Starfire should have some pretty good alien genetics and shit for her to be athletic and all that. But anyways, overweight gothic gay daughter and whatnot, which is obviously the fucking writer herself, Marika Tamaki, who blocked me on Twitter, by the way. But Marika Tamaki, who's also overweight, gothic, and I believe she's also lesbian, right? Basically, or she might be bisexual, but I know she's not straight, and whatnot. Just like she made this character, that's a self-insert, and that's terrible. And then I'm going to talk about Christian real quick. Like, Christian had his whole comic, and I know Christian is a fucking idiot. Who knows? Maybe I might talk about him someday. I might not, but I'm just gonna keep this short. So, like, Christian had his whole comics, Sonic Shoe, which is pretty stupid. But the thing about his Sonic Shoe comics was that it was like his whole Sonic Shoe thing, and then eventually that became more so about his life story, or not his life story, but more so like he had this whole character named Christian, which is him, obviously, and basically the stories became more so about him. And I guess he just turned to comics and stuff, like to drawing comics and stuff about escapism and how he would have his own reality and all that stuff. That's basically his own self-insert. And those are some pretty bad ways of doing a self-insert character. Now, I feel like there's a good way of handling self-insert characters. Like, take J.G. Quintel. James Garland Quintel. Now, J.G. Quintel, if you don't know, and I'm pretty sure you can recognize his work if you actually like watch stuff on like Cartoon Network or whatever. But J.G. Quintel used to work on, actually not even work on, he created Regular Show. And not only did he create Regular Show, but he also created, he also voiced Mordecai. And I feel like Mordecai is kind of a reflection of J.G. Quintel back in his like early 20s. And then currently, if you're aware, J.G. Quintel has another show called Close Enough. Currently, it's on HBO Max. I thought it was supposed to be on like TBS or something. I could be wrong. But that's how it's marketed, I believe. But it's on HBO Max and whatnot. It's a good show. I haven't seen it in a minute, but in a couple months. But it's a pretty good show in my opinion. But I feel like his character Josh is supposed to be like a reflection of him in his like I want to say late 20s, early 30s. Because currently he should be like J.G. Quintel should probably I want to say he's in his late 30s or early 40s. I think he was born in the 80s, but yeah. But J.G. Quintel, I enjoy his work. Whenever he makes a show, whatever, like some kind of series, it's gonna be weird as hell, but it's gonna be fun to watch, you know. But I feel like for like his characters like Mordecai and Josh, which, and by the way, Josh is like literally also voiced by J.G. Quintel himself, and even looks like him. But I don't feel like that's a bad thing though, because I feel like there's some kind of nuance or some complexity between Mordecai and Josh and whatnot, where it's beyond just because if it's a self-insert character like Christian or Mariko Tamaki, where they're just gonna like be put on a pedestal and they're gonna be made to look good and whatnot for no entire reason and have no depth, and that's just a terrible self-insert. But a good way of handling a good self-insert character like J.G. Quintel's characters Mordecai and Josh is that okay, we kind of actually get to relate to them. We see what they go through. They're not getting put on a pedestal or not given everything, you know, that kind of thing. And I like that. I really do. Now, and then another self-insert I would have to say is from, from Beastars, actually. Now, if you don't know what Beastars is, it's an anime created by this one manga artist named Paru Itagaki. And it's a really good series. I actually liked Beastars. I just got into it recently. It's pretty fucking awesome. I caught up on season 2, and I'm currently reading the manga. It is amazing. But one of the characters is one of the main characters actually is a girl named Haru. Haru is this cute little bunny girl and whatnot, and she pretty much comes from a family of like she's the youngest of her family, but she has like a older brother, older sister. Her dad's usually overworked and whatnot, and she's very close with her mom, which is a lot similar to Paru Itagaki and whatnot, where her dad, who is also a manga artist, he actually created Baki, low-key, is a very busy man, so he doesn't, like, not really around a whole lot. But yet she's close with her mom, and she has an older brother and an older sister. Sound familiar? But the thing is with, like, Haru, is that Haru, he's actually a little bit of a really deep character, you know? Or not a really deep character, but, well, yeah, in a way, she can be a little bit of a deep character. I suggest you watch the show. I'm not going to go into full detail about it. So my point being is with self-insert characters, I feel like, yeah, they can be handled competently, but then they can't. And I obviously feel like, yeah, so the point is this character is not handled well at all, and it's just a terrible self-insert character. Just so they so basically so that the showrunner, the creator, can kind of lecture people on what transgender is, even though like it's kind of weird for the audience because the show looks like it's made for kids, but yet it's like, you know, it's got cursing and blood and shit in it. And it's like, okay, so what exactly is this show for? It's like, and my guess, I guess as good as yours, but I want to say it's probably at least intended for people who are at least 13 or 14 at best. But, yeah, but for anyone younger than 12, hell no. They should not be getting lectured on what the hell transgender is. And if it's for somebody that's like, I don't know, my age, who's in their 20s, yeah, no, they should not be getting lectured on what the hell transgender is because we already know what that is at this point. So, yeah. And then the last two characters I gotta say for the supporting roles are Slime Boy and Olive. So, Slime Boy, he's basically this magic user and he's a musician and whatnot. I don't got much to say on the guy besides his audio, which that is probably the worst in this show. Yeah. But that plays into the voice acting and whatnot. I don't really have much to say on this character. And then Olive is supposed to be like one of the main villains and stuff. And basically, her thing is that basically I think she's like the type of character that's always like, she doesn't want to hurt anyone, but yet she's trying to look out for herself, and she's like, trying to be a survivor, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, and I just feel like her development and stuff is kind of weird, but at least one of the highlights about the show is that people actually kind of fawn over this character and whatnot. I mean, even if they don't like the show, they actually think that she actually does look cute. And I'm not gonna lie, she does look like a nice, cute little cat girl, but that's not enough to save this show. But anyways, but yeah, but that's all of those. So anyways, that's all the supporting characters that I just named off. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the voice acting. All right. So next up, I'm going to start talking about the voice acting and whatnot. But before I get into the voice acting of High Guardian Spice, I actually want to talk about one of my favorite voice actors, Megumi Hayashibara. She's a Japanese voice actress and whatnot. She's done a lot of animes and whatnot, and she's voiced one of my favorite a few of my favorite anime characters, but definitely one of my favorite anime characters, Lena Inverse and whatnot, which I'll be talking about at some point in this video. But anyways, but yeah, Megumi. She's an excellent voice actress. And not to mention, I love her songs and stuff that she's sung for like openings and animes and stuff. It's really awesome. I really encourage you to check it out if you're like into that kind of thing. If you're into anime music and whatnot, yeah, definitely listen to Megumi. I don't even care if you gotta pause this video, go check her out because she's amazing. I actually like to like listen to her music in the morning and stuff. It gets me all hyped and upbeat a little bit, but that's besides the point. So, anyways, recently I kind of bought a book that she had made called "The Characters That Taught Me Everything" by Megumi. So, about the book. So pretty much the book is pretty much just a biography, more so about like her experience as a voice actress, and it kind of has this whole timeline thing from from when she was, I guess, in school being a voice actress, and she was also in nursing school too, all the way up to the present. So yeah, so she pretty much goes into detail about some of her roles and stuff, which I'm not going to talk about the whole book right now. I'm just telling you, just giving you a little insight. So anyway, she talks about how she had some problems at home because her dad had fallen ill because half his body was kind of paralyzed, which that's kind of a really disturbing thought. And then her mom was a housewife, so she didn't really have any work experience. So that was kind of really bad for their family because her mom had to do all she could to try and keep the family together and stuff, that type of thing. So Megumi, she had to go to nursing school, but she always dreamed about being a voice actress. So she tried to do two at the same time. But anyways, I just go read the book. But the thing about Megumi is that eventually she did become a voice actress, as we know, and that pretty much she wasn't exactly at first. Of course, she wasn't an expert or a professional just yet, but she was still good and whatnot. Like she was good at what she did. She was surrounded by like other professionals and stuff, and learned off of them on how to get better and stuff. Things that she would think would be like just impossible was just proven possible and stuff, or probable. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. So yeah, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And personally, myself, I'm not interested in becoming a voice actor myself. I'm interested more so in, like, doing manga and anime and that type of thing. But it is nice to know more about, like, just other people and their experiences and stuff, especially if it's like closely to anime, because I love anime. But yeah. So Megumi, that's the thing with her, and like she would talk about how she had to, how she would say a line or something, like for instance, when she was playing one of her first roles as as a minor character, she was playing as a waitress where she was like, what was it? Oh yeah, how may I take your order? And then the guy was like, nah, that's not good enough. You gotta actually like convince, you gotta sell that role. You gotta be like, just make it sound like you just, you had a like tough day or whatever, and you're a waitress and whatnot. And you're like, hey, how can I take your order? And that sounds like a hell of a lot more realistic and better. So the point I'm trying to get at is that even the minor roles mean a lot and whatnot. Whether it's a minor character, minor person, like a minor voice actor, whatever. it all matters. Okay, and High Guardian Spice, yeah, not to mention Megumi would go into detail about how she would like have to like study what she's not doing right, and she'll have to do a bunch of retakes and stuff. But the thing with High Guardian Spice is I don't feel like they do that, like because the voice acting is so bad and whatnot. Like, and I'm not saying it gotta be voiced by like some like big time professionals, but and again they're probably working with all that money they kind of sponged off of Crunchyroll, so there is that. But the thing is though, I feel like with High Spice Guardian, where I even begin, I feel like they hired the voice actors based off of like their diversity hires, because if you actually like look up some of the voice actors that are voicing these characters and stuff, it's mostly like characters that have some like that has some kind of resemblance to a said character and whatnot. So like, oh, Time, she's this black elf girl, right? Well, makes sense that she's voiced by some black girl, which again you don't necessarily like. Yeah. Again, I already explained this in my other video, whatnot, how voice acting and whatnot. But my point being is that I feel like that's so stupid, it's so dumb. To cast the most. Oh yeah, we gotta cast the exact same person of the exact same race and ethnicity to voice a character, and they won't even get to see your face. Like, yeah. So mostly they did a bunch of diversity hires. So that's one, and then two. I feel like in terms of like minor characters, like they have a bunch of minor actors and stuff. Like I looked up some of these actors and stuff. I'm like, I said like I at least saw that at least like some of them had at least maybe 2 or 4 roles they might have done in the past as minor characters, nothing too major, and then they're voicing the characters on High Guardian Spice, like the main characters. I'm like, wow, no wonder why they're not really that good. And that's not a knock at the voice actors. That's just a knock at the people who decided, hey, let's cast all these let's cast these people to play these characters and whatnot, and make no attempt of having them get better. None of that. So yeah, it's dumb. But yeah, because honestly, I feel like they just did a few takes and was like, okay, that should be good enough, and just moved on because so much of the terrible voice acting and the dialogue and the Slime Boy and his bad mic and audio, for some reason, all of that just got oversaw, and they're like, okay, yep, that's good. Let's put it in the episodes. Like, come on, who could have actually watched, like, sit down, watch that, and be like, yeah, that's amazing. Like, I mean, anonymously, they had to have been like, that's amazing. Let's put it on Crunchyroll right now, and they had like 3 years to do all this. So yeah, I don't blame the voice actors. The voice actors, I feel like, they should probably attempt to try and get better, but it's more so like blame the voice directors or whoever casted them and stuff. The casting and stuff is terrible, and then the voice directors for like not putting in the effort to try and make the voice actors like give their best performance and whatnot, because it feels like either they half-assed it or they're really trying to I don't know, like they're trying way too hard. That's how I feel about for the voice acting and whatnot. Nothing like how strict Japan actually is with anime and stuff in terms of voice acting, even with the minor roles and stuff. That is. So yeah, that's all I gotta say on the voice acting. Pretty much, it's pretty bad. So yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna move on to the next subject. All right. So next up, I'm gonna talk about the episodes and stuff. I'm not gonna really go too much in like I'm not gonna like spend too much time focusing on each episode. So I'll just cover it all the best way I can. So episodes, and I'll probably skip through some episodes and whatnot, like yeah, because some of them are just so boring and nothing almost never happens. So yeah, but anyways, I'll just talk about some of the more relevant ones. So episodes 1 through 4, when I was like looking forward to watching this anime out of spite, and stuff, because I wanted to hear what all the buzz was all about. I was like, all right, this is about to be some of the most cringe-worthy garbage writing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then when I turn it on, and I'm like, wow, this is so boring. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was not expecting it to be so boring. I was like, oh, wow, this is so bland. Like, for real. Like, okay, so the first episode is basically them just traveling and whatnot. They're going to school, or not going to school, but they're traveling from their homes and stuff, and they're going to this town where, and by they I mean Rose and Sage. They're going to this town where where Sage's aunts live in, and because they live next to the school, so they're gonna be living with them, with her aunts, because they're gay, but living with the aunts and going to school, and whatnot, and just learning how to become adventurers or something. So yeah, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, okay, but it was very boring. I just like, all right, can they just hurry this up? Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like they're trying to kind of get, like, I get that they're trying to, like, I don't know, show the world building. I mean, even though the world building is kind of terrible in my honest opinion, but they're trying to show you the world around you and whatnot. That's the idea. That's the gist that I get of it. But everything else, though, like episode 2, 3, and 4, again, it's also really boring. It's mostly just them in school and whatnot. Yeah. Which I'll probably talk about some of that school life and stuff a little later as well in this video. But pretty much, I mean, it's just very boring. It's just mostly just them in school and whatnot. They're amateurs. They're kind of like introducing to some of the characters and stuff, that type of thing. And this reminds me, like when I was like first saw the first episode, this just made me automatically think of this book I once read called Manga Theory and Practice. If you don't know what that is, it's basically this book that stuff like that gives you a little suggestions about how to make manga and stuff or a story. And I was reading this, and it was written by the guy who created JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Hirohiko Araki. And Araki expressed that I'm not going to go into detail about that book because it's amazing. I definitely recommend if you're into like storytelling, you want to improve your writing, read that book. Like really, for real, read that book. But anyways, Araki explained that one of his biggest fears as a manga artist was that like somebody will like that an editor would probably like look at like he does all this work, right? Let's say he makes like 200 pages worth of manga, and an editor looks at the first page and they just like go, yeah, not interesting, and they just give it right back to him and just like shut him down. And he's like, like yeah, that was one of his biggest fears, because the thing about that is you got to really like convince somebody on the first page alone that you got to convince somebody. You got to give them a reason to want to keep like reading and stuff. Every panel kind of has to count for something and whatnot, for that matter. Every page, every panel, you name it, has to count. And that's the thing with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure even. Like, yeah, like if you, yeah, like there's always something exciting going on with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Everywhere you turn, there's something weird just going on. It's literally called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But that's the thing with Hirohiko Araki, how he makes manga, is that basically you got to make the first page count. Now, if this was High Guardian Spice in that position, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they would have looked at it and be like, yep, this is flat, and just returned it like that. All the more proof that this is definitely not anime-like in the least. I mean, it's trying to be like anime-like, but it's really failing. It's not. It does not capture that anime charm whatsoever. What more can I say? I mean, I already explained that with the voice acting, and right down to the voice acting. Now the story itself, yeah, no. But it pretty much just ripped from like a bunch of other animes that has already done this trope, like Ruby, My Hero, Naruto to an extent. You name it. It's kind of already boring, man. But yeah. But besides the point, so episodes 1 through 4. Just very boring and whatnot. I mean, honestly, nobody wants to listen to just crap stories about like grown-ass men talking about poorly explaining what trans is and whatnot, because actually one of those episodes, I believe, the Professor Cartway, was telling Rose about that, what the meaning of transgender was. And personally myself, I feel like if you're going to talk about like, well, actually, no. I don't have a problem with a trans character being in such show or whatever. I mean, there have been plenty of animes that I've seen where it probably does have like some kind of gay character or trans character. Like, for example, Yu Yu Hakusho or Hunter x Hunter has some trans characters in there. I don't really care, but at least it's not like super like hyper focused where they're telling the audience what the meaning is. I'm like, yeah. So, anyways, in the episode 6, now episode 6 was kind of one of the like I'm gonna skip episode 5, but episode 6 was probably one of the episodes that I don't know, it just really irked my nerves a little bit, and I was like, wow. And I actually first saw this, like a clip of this on YouTube, and I already kind of predicted a little bit of how this is going to go down. And I wouldn't say I wasn't off the mark. Yeah, I wasn't that far off the mark. So basically, Rose crushes on some boy. Yes, she apparently is straight, or bisexual, I guess. But she's crushing on some boy named Aster. Aster's this white blonde kid with blue eyes and stuff. And basically, yeah, like I said, Rose ends up crushing on him. And the guy is kind of a bit of a capper. Like, he tends to lie a lot and was like, oh, yeah, I'm really strong, I'm really tough, but he's really not about that life. He's not really all, yeah, he's not really all that tough. But okay, I mean, he just lies a lot. I guess he's a capper. So what? But then right away, automatically, like Sage is like, yeah, I just don't trust him. You know, like you don't trust him because of what? Like because of what? And keep in mind, this episode was actually written by that dumbass writer Kate Leth. Yeah, that same dumbass pink-haired writer that was all like, "Kill all men. Harry Potter is too white and too straight. Stan Lee's a creep." Yeah, she legitimately said all that bullshit, and then she was like, "Oh, I got Tumblr pill." Bitch, shut up. I'm like, bitch, shut up. But anyways, yeah, so fuck her. I don't give a damn. But anyways, and then she's like, yeah, and she's really unapologetic about it. But yeah, she wrote this episode. That's for damn sure, and I'm not even surprised. But basically, in this episode, it's just mostly just man hating on this guy that asked her, oh yeah, he's just this capper and stuff. And then, like I said, Rose is crushing on him, and Sage is like, I don't trust him. He's, I don't know, him being with Sage, and she's like jealous as fuck, that type of thing. And then, let's see. So pretty much he's acting like he's all like, he's tougher than Rose or whatever, and he's getting her name all wrong and stuff like that. Whatever. Let's skip ahead to the end of the episode where basically Rose had lost her feelings for Aster or whatever, and is telling him off, and then everybody's just shitting on Aster for no apparent reason, even though he's never given them any reason to get shit on. And then Parsley drops a hammer on his drops a hammer on his foot for some apparent reason, which that was pretty dumb. And then even the teacher and the students are like, the students of course, and then the teachers laughing at him because Parsley dropped a hammer on his foot for like no apparent reason. I'm like, is that supposed to be funny? Like, did he really have it coming because he, I don't know, tried to flirt with Rose, and he was like lying about. That's not worth having an entire hammer dropped on your foot and whatnot. It's really not. It's really not. It's not funny. It's pretty stupid. So yeah, that's what I gotta say there. And then episode. Let's see. What's the next episodes? Okay. Now I think I'm gonna skip episode 7. I don't even remember what happened in there. But episode 8 and 9. Now I think this is where the show started to kind of pick up a little bit in terms of like, well, not pacing, but at least something happened in here, where basically, let's see, the 4 main characters are fighting off with this girl, this cat girl Olive, and whatnot, who's like the main villain, or kind of like I guess she's more of a but she's an antagonist and whatnot, and basically, the villain of this episode, of these 2 episodes, and basically, she turns pretty much the entire town into stone. Like all the people and stuff except for the main characters. Well, one of the main characters gets turned to stone, but anyways, they fight her off or something, and then she's all like, yeah, so I feel like at least some good, the animation was actually getting better, and like there was some decent action, but my main criticism again is like, how in the hell did fucking Rose get all this, when did she start becoming a competent sword fighter? That makes no sense. Like, again, she had she had a few obstacle trainings and stuff, but that's not enough to make you be all like, okay, yeah, I can definitely do it now. And I'm like, what? No. Like, take for example, like Kenichi Shirahama from Kenichi History's Mightiest Disciple, okay? Kenichi, that man had to bust his ass off with the training and everything. I'm not even kidding. He had to train and all that stuff. He was trained by 7 masters, I believe. To fight off some school bullies and stuff. I mean, yeah, he was training one day. He took on one of his school bullies and stuff, and then he got beat up by another dude soon after that. And then, well, the bullies and the people who wanted to kick his ass kept coming, and he was like, I just want to live my life in peace. And it's crazy. But with with Rose, I'm like, how did she get all this? Where did she become an excellent sword fighter out of nowhere? Did she just get random plot armor or something? It's stupid. So, yeah, it's really dumb. It's not even explained. She doesn't have any mentors, no legitimate training, none of that stuff. It's ridiculous. So, but yeah, and then also for Olive, because Olive will be later on played off as this sympathetic kind of villain, but yet she's going around town turning people to stone and saying that she's gonna and she also tried to kill the main characters, of course, but she's threatening to break innocent people and stuff of their like stone, statues or whatever, that she's gonna break them, and obviously they're gonna die if they do that. But yeah, but I guess she's supposed to be that character that's supposed to be like looking out for herself, and then for some reason she just like later on in the series she gets like like concerned about the main characters to the point where she actually like she what's the word she tried to sacrifice everything for them for what exact reason. I feel like that's completely rushed. So moving on to episode 11. So now this is a really interesting one. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention back in that episode 8 and 9. Apparently there's this guy named Cal or something. He's supposed to be, I guess, another school bully or something, another mean kid, and he's friends with Snapdragon. And then basically he caught Snapdragon at a Halloween party dressed up as a mermaid, and then he overreacted and was like, dude, why are you wearing that? It's not right. And I'm like, usually guys don't have that reaction whenever they catch their friend that they believe is straight all their life. Is all like, dude, yeah, they don't go like that. They just be like, oh, dude, that's a funny ass outfit. Why are you dressed up as a mermaid? They'll probably be like that. And they're like, oh, yeah. And then like if they figure out a more in-depth reason as to why, they're like, oh, then you can get either A or B reaction. Like they can either accept it or they'll probably just be all like reject it. It all depends. But anyways, moving on, episode 11. So basically in this episode, apparently, again, the students get selected on some kind of life or death mission, which is crazy. I'll explain that in the school part of this video. But basically, they get selected on this life or death mission where they gotta subdue a dragon for some reason. But they end up actually like mortally wounding a dragon and end up having to kill it, which that was kind of crazy. But besides that, though, besides killing the dragon, so what my main concern was this whole thing with Snapdragon, right? Where basically Snapdragon, he met that dude Cal and stuff after that whole Halloween incident where he overreacted and Cal was making fun of Snap because, he was dressed up as a girl and he was calling him a girl, and then Snap lost his shit and he was beating the fuck out of him. He was world starring him. He was beating the fuck out of him. He was beating his ass, everything like a damn drum. I was like, God damn. First off, I was like, man, I know this is going to be a complete one-sided fight. And yep, it was completely a one-sided fight. He was beating his ass and everything, had him on the floor, the transphobic guy. He was like, And they were on a boat, by the way, and he had to get out the boat and swim to shore because he didn't want he didn't want them hands. I'm like, Jesus. Wow, that was a complete one-sided fight. And of course, the feminine gay boy or trans boy ended up winning, of course, because, well, yeah, he had to be put on a pedestal of all things. And then the professor shows up and he's all like, your hand is broken. And I'm like, his hand is broken? How did he break his hand? Was he punching, I don't know, Superman or something? Like, he was punching another boy. That's not, you don't break it. Like, I'm like, has any of these writers been in a fight or something, or actually seen how a fight goes down? Like, because you don't break your hand punching somebody unless they're made of, I don't know, fucking stone or something or whatever, or steel. Like, what? Wow, that is so stupid. So yeah, to me that episode, yeah. Well, these episodes are stupid in general, but I was just like, wow, that yeah. And then basically the professor was explaining to Snapdragon here about what it's like to be trans and all that, and apparently there's magic or something that he uses to make himself trans and whatnot. It's really dumb. But anyways, but there was a scene, like a flashback from Snapdragon, where basically his dad and his brother was bullying him, and he was all like, protecting his little pet rabbit thing, and he was getting bullied and stuff by, like I said, by his dad and brother. And it reminded me of this other anime I just recently watched called Devilman. And in there, basically the main character, Akira, there's these school pets. Some delinquents kills 2 of the 3 rabbits that was in there as the school pets because they're they're delinquents and stuff. They don't have any regard for these rabbits' lives. They're like, oh, well, they're just rabbits. Who cares? But Akira, he cared, and he was trying to protect the smaller, the little rabbit and stuff from the delinquents. But the delinquents were just beating his ass and stuff. They were like fucking him up and everything because they wanted to kill the rabbit. And I'm not gonna lie, here's what happened. So Akira was getting beat up because he was trying to stand, like, yeah, he didn't have the strength to really answer to them, but at least, you can see that, okay, basically his courage and his morality is in the right place, and he's protecting the rabbit with everything he's got. And basically he looks at the bullies for a second, he's like, go fuck yourself. Yeah, he's like, go fuck yourself. I'm not even kidding, that is literally in the dub. He said, go fuck yourself, and they were about to beat his ass. So his goal came, and then basically they were like, nah, I respect that. You got guts, kid, but don't think you'll get off easy next time, that kind of thing. Which is so much more handled better. But in here, this is just telling you that, oh, well, masculinity is toxic and whatnot. Pretty much. That's the whole thing. That's the gist of the episode. And then the finale, let's get into the finale. It's basically the season finale is basically where the villains and stuff, Olive and I guess some guy that she's answering to named Mandrake, they show up, and they're actually, I guess, more interesting characters. Of course, they're more interesting characters than the villains compared to the main characters. But basically, they try to get over on the main characters and stuff, but then they end up getting fucked up. And Olive, she ends up betraying them again. I keep saying rush development, and that's about it. And apparently, spoilers alert. Rose's mom is alive, which I kind of predicted. I was like, yeah, her mom's probably alive or something. I bet, because if they don't have a body or some sort, I'm like, yeah, she's probably alive somewhere or something. But I just didn't expect that she was working for the bad guys. So, that's pretty interesting. But that's all I gotta say on the episodes. Tell me what you think down below about the episodes and whatever. Did you like them or what? But let's move on to the next segment about some of the more problems that I have with this show. Because this video is legit. Alright, so we're back at it. So, the next subject before I move on to the next topic I wanted to talk about is the school and the power system and stuff, because those are some of my issues. They're definitely one of the biggest issues when it comes to the story and the plot, in my opinion. One of the biggest issues, at least, with this story and plot, in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about the power system first, and then I'm going to talk about the school and why I think that's just bad. So let's get into it. So when it comes to the power system, and if you don't know what the power system or the magic system is, basically that's like the energies and stuff that's apparent in that universe and stuff. Of course, there's always like rule when it comes to certain animes or shows or whatever. So for example, Dragon Ball Z, you got Ki. Naruto, you have chakra. Bleach, you have spiritual pressure. One Piece, you have haki. Hunter x Hunter, you have nin. Fairy Tail, you have magic, etc. The list goes on. Magic aura, whatever. You have all that stuff. And in here, of course, like certain magic users or mages can cast, well, obviously magic, right? So in here, I mentioned earlier when I think of the character Sage, how I was saying how pretty much like when I think of this character, I can't help but think of the power system and whatnot and how stupid it is, in my opinion. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, and I feel like they just do a terrible job at not, like, differentiating the two. Because there's, a such thing as old magic, and then there's a such thing as new magic in this show, right? And like I said, it's a play on to conservative values and liberalism, which is stupid. Basically, magic can be used, apparently, to make people trans or whatever. That's what the teacher does as a weird reassignment surgery, and takes a potion a month, apparently. Which again, I don't feel like that should have been explained in the show. I feel like that is just pointless and filler, and they probably should have just explained that in I don't know, in an interview or some kind of Wikipedia page or something. Would have been a lot more smarter, because people don't like to sit here and get lectured about what it's like to be trans or whatever. It's pretty dumb. But anywho, the power system. So yeah. So for example, like a better example of how a power system can be handled is something like Naruto with chakra, right? Because I'm going to tell you the history, a little in-depth about chakra, and then just how chakra is utilized, So yeah. So first off, chakra. What is chakra? So basically chakra, it originates from the divine tree or the god tree and stuff. I like to call it the god tree. And basically, as we all know, Kaguya, the princess from the Onosuke clan, she basically had eaten a fruit from the god tree, the chakra fruit, which had given her chakra and whatnot, like a immense amount of chakra. And basically, Kaguya used it gained the Ren and Sharingan and basically took over the entire planet and all that stuff. And then she gave birth to her 2 twin sons, Sage of Six Paths and his twin brother, and whatnot, who were the first 2 born with chakra. And then eventually the Sage of Six Paths had passed on his abilities, like his chakra and stuff, or at least he passed around chakra to everyone else on the planet, so they're able to utilize it and whatnot. Because in a way, like, chakra is meant in Naruto to like keep everybody together and whatnot, and like prove that we're all not divided and that we have something in common and whatnot. That's, I guess, the whole purpose of that, because I feel like that's one of the Sage of the Six Paths' whole. That's one of his, like, I guess, his mottos or whatever, is like, we all work as a unit and whatnot, which is something that he tried to teach his own children. But yeah, so that is that. Now, how is chakra used inside Naruto? So obviously chakra can be used for a variety of ways. Chakra can be used, well, obviously for the obvious stuff, jutsus, of course. How many times, how many like jutsus can Naruto use and whatnot? Like, oh, he can use shadow clone jutsu. How much chakra does it take to make a shadow clone, or how much chakra does it take to create a Rasengan or something, or how many times can Kakashi keep using his Sharingan abilities, his Kekkei Genkai, or and whatnot, before passing out or becoming like exhausted or whatever, stuff like that. That's why, yeah, chakra, yeah, that's the whole purpose of chakra. And then there's other stuff too on the side, like elemental control, stuff like walking on the water and stuff, or surfaces and whatnot, basic stuff. Like, that's based off of like what ninjas can actually do and whatnot back from the old times, which is what it's based off of. And then there's stuff like Asuma. Asuma has the ability to use his chakra to strengthen weapons and stuff. So like he can throw a kunai with a stronger piercing attack and whatnot. Tsunade and Sakura, they have the ability to use their chakra to with a certain extent, or like with a certain like type of control over chakra, they're able to like explode their chakra, so like they can use it for like stronger hits basically. So like, yeah, that type of stuff. So that's basically how chakra works inside Naruto, and it's kind of a little, well, it takes a minute to understand it, but yeah. And then the more you build on your physical energy, it's composed of physical and spiritual energy, as Sakura was saying in the beginning. And basically, if you like build up your physical energy, basically if you train your body more, then your chakra gets stronger, basically, right? Or your spiritual energy, your chakra gets stronger. That's how that works. So that's basically just the understanding of Naruto. I feel like, yeah, maybe it might be a lot to probably try to process a little bit, but it's not really that much, in my opinion. I feel like Nin will probably be a little bit more harder to process. But yeah, like I said, but every other universe in a story and anime or whatever always has a different type of a different rule and whatnot. And I'm not saying that High Spice Guardian has to copy Naruto in order to just be good. I'm just saying that that's just a better example of how a power system is handled compared to what High Spice is doing. Because, like I said, they don't differentiate the two. I don't see what's the difference between new magic and old magic. Like, is new magic supposed to be like powerful than old magic or something, or is old magic supposed to be like, oh, ancient? Like, I don't know. It's like Ki and God Ki inside Dragon Ball Z, but at least like God Ki is like basically Ki held by like more powerful guys like Beerus or something, whereas Ki is just held by just regular people and whatnot inside the Dragon Ball Z universe, that type of thing. But anyways, so yeah, that's the power system. So I feel like they flopped there. And then even worse, I gotta talk about the school now. So the school, what are my issues with the school? First off, they go to this school where they're in training to become like guardians and heroes and all that stuff, adventurers. Okay, cool. I mean, basically you get the whole My Hero Academia, Harry Potter type of vibe. I've never seen Little Witch Academia. I hear a lot of people have been comparing it to that. I've never really seen Little Witch Academia, but I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out someday. But it has to be better than this. It can't be. Yeah, I'm like, it has to be better than this. But anyways, yeah. But I hear that they've been ripping from that. But yeah, but this show clearly like reminds me of like definitely Ruby and stuff. Like Ruby's okay show, but I don't know. It's just feel like it's deteriorating a little bit, but it's better than this at least. It's a little bit more watchable. But anyways, well, for now anyways. But I'm getting off topic. So back on topic with the school. So my problems with the school with High Guardian Spice or whatever is that geez, where did I even begin? So basically, they go to school, and they're in training to become heroes, and sometimes they might go on some like suicide mission or life or death mission or whatever, that type of thing. And the thing is, they barely have any like training, in my opinion. Like they don't have like any mentors to like teach them how to survive this or how to do that. I mean, they just have a few obstacle courses and whatnot to hone their abilities, but that's about it. I'm like, that's not enough. Like that's not enough. Like it's crazy. Like literally on the first day of school, right? For their like on the first day of school, like one of the teachers, this old teacher who I feel like, yeah, she must have it out students or something because she's always doing something to get them killed. But this old teacher, basically, she poisoned her students and stuff on the first day and expected them to come up with a cure by the end of the class. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is there a catch or something that I'm like not getting? Like, is there a certain angle? Nope. She legitimately like poisoned them. They're all like bugging out and stuff. And then one of them, Sage, she I believe she created a cure based off her knowledge of old magic and whatnot. But I'm like, okay, so if she didn't know old magic, and those students like yeah, all those students who knew new magic and stuff but didn't know how to make a cure for it, I'm like, then they would have died. Like, what? Like in Naruto, right? You have Kakashi who, yeah, like Kakashi would be a little bit of a hard ass on like other subordinates, like when he was getting a team of subordinates and stuff, he was a little bit of a hard ass. To some extent, like he'll basically be like, okay, if you don't impress me or if you fail the bell challenge, then I'm going to send you back to the academy. And as you know, Naruto and crew didn't exactly pass the bell challenge per se, but the whole point of that exercise was to teach Naruto and crew about teamwork and about working together and and having some kind of independence and stuff. That's why Kakashi kept them around. And he's had like other candidates to be his subordinates, but he's always rejected them because, well, they just didn't meet up to his requirement. Or Mr. Aizawa from My Hero Academia, Aizawa, like if he's not impressed by like the students on like the first day, like let's say they go like on a little ops course, some training or something on like where their quirks, yeah, where they could just use their quirks all willy nilly and stuff to and try to impress them. If they don't impress them or don't, yeah, or show that they don't have any control, like Deku or something, then he'll probably just expel him. Then I know that's a lie. He'll probably expel him, but he'll reinstate them and then probably put them back in like put them in like some kind of lower class or something so they can kind of train a little bit more. Because class 1A, that's like probably the top class in the school. But anyways, yeah. So that's what I wanted to point out. So with this and a High Guardian Spice, they don't really like, they just they train up the kids a little bit or have them do these obstacle courses. They throw them like literally in the grinder. It's like you're teaching somebody how to swim, but you just throw them in there and they're drowning and shit. Like let's start like, okay, you're teaching them how to swim, right? Like let's say you want to treat a you want to train a toddler how to swim, but you throw them in an adult-sized pool. That's literally High Guardian Spice, what they're doing with the school and their students and stuff. That makes no sense. Even in like Harry Potter, it's not like the teachers try to like put their students in danger or anything. Yeah, they like have them, do spells and all that stuff, teach them about the little how to like defend themselves and whatnot with magic or whatever. But nothing like that's too intense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, and I get it, the whole but yeah, with Harry Potter, I mean, yeah, when they would probably put their students on the lives, it was probably the Goblet of Fire, but they had to be of age and whatnot, and that's why, like, everybody was like, it was like Harry Potter was competing, like, yeah, because at the time, Harry was like 14, and him competing in the Goblet of Fire was like, oh, because that's like for somebody who's like 17 and up, because, that's like, right, why they were all giving him some, like, dirty looks, like, oh, Harry's 14 and he's competing in the Goblet of Fire, because, again, it's meant for more experienced wizards and stuff, and it's like and again like, yeah, definitely not anyone underage. And then when they had to battle against Voldemort, because Voldemort was just going to come to the school and kill everybody. So yeah, but no, they don't try to put their students in danger like this school does. They intentionally put their students in danger and send them on missions and stuff that they almost have no chance of like coming back or surviving. Or whatever. Hell, even the townspeople were like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna die." Ha ha ha. Like, what? But anyways, yeah. So that's my problem with the school. Um, but like definitely some better examples like Naruto, for example. I know Naruto they kind of put some of their students in danger in a way. But the thing is though, like let's see. There's some things that people don't know unless you like really look into Naruto. Like if you read some of the novels or look at some of the filler and whatnot, you might get a general idea. But the thing inside Naruto is that Naruto, as you know, has a ranking system, and then of course there's like Ginnings, Shunings, and Jonings, and then they get determined on which missions they get to go on or whatever. Of course, Ginnings and stuff, like Naruto and his crew back in the older days, they used to go on some D-ranked missions and stuff like rescuing cats and stuff, or doing everyday work around the village, which is again D-ranked missions. I mean, may not be much, but I mean, it's a mission. It's not like anything life or death. It's just basically they're just doing chores around the village, basically. And then a C-ranked mission would be like, okay, they're doing something a little bit that's like a little bit of a pay grade up. It's just them just protecting. I don't know, like originally they were supposed to be protecting tons of like from thieves and thugs and stuff who might try to rob them along the way. But Kakashi was saying that this is at least a B ranked mission if they got assassins and yeah, if they got well-known assassins and mercenaries and stuff after them like that and killers. Like yeah, that's a whole nother story right there compared to thugs and thieves. Yeah, possible thugs and thieves, but yeah, definitely a different type of mission. But anyways, yeah, but that's a night or day difference. And again, they have to like be like real, like they send certain people, of course, like for like okay, yeah. And I know like there were beginnings like or like characters that were like really young, like Kakashi or Minato, who like fought in wars and stuff when they were like kids. But that was because like times in the Leaf Village was like very scarce, so they had to like work with what they were given and whatnot. And then eventually over time, like if you read the Itachi novel, Itachi was saying how basically yeah, like the reason why he became a Chunin was because one Danzo wanted to step up Itachi. He wanted Itachi to be like the captains of the of well basically of like of the Anbu and whatnot because Danzo was kind of running that. But yeah, but besides that though, Itachi was saying that basically the reason why he's a Chunin at the age of like 9 is because well not only because of his skill, but also because they're gonna need people like him around and whatnot. Because I mean even though war times have kind of passed a little bit, but yeah, because Itachi kind of skating around that, and then eventually like he was saying that Sasuke even. If Sasuke were to become a Genin, he won't become a Genin until he's at least 11, which, he became a Genin at 12. But he won't become a Genin at least around 11 years old, and whatnot, despite his skill and whatnot. So yeah, because, again, things are going back to being peaceful. There was no need for, like, children to put their lives on the line. And it's honestly, like, optional to become a ninja or not, to drop out and become a Genin, because one of Itachi's friends, back in his 3-man squad originally, one of his friends got killed, and his other friend had dropped out from being a ninja entirely after that entire experience. So yeah, so like I said, it's not like this is something that they just put you up to. Like yeah, they put you up to like 2 or anything. So that's what I'm saying with Naruto, and compared to like High Guardian Spice, and why High Guardian Spice just doesn't get that. So that's the school. My problems with the power system in the school. Now I'm going to move on to my next subject. Alright, this is going to be my last subject before I end this video. So I actually wanted to compare, like I said, High Guardian Spice to my favorite anime, Slayers, which is another D&D style type of anime and whatnot. And when I'm dealing with like magic and swordsmanship and whatnot, just like High Guardian, but infinitely done better than High Spice Guardian. Like all the problems, like the art style, the animation, the voice acting, the soundtrack, all that stuff is done millions of times better in Slayers. So if you're looking forward to watching a D&D type of anime where the characters like to travel around and adventure and whatnot, Slayers is definitely for you and whatnot. And that's one of the things I feel like High Guardian Spice is probably lacking, is that it's supposed to be like an action adventure type of story, but yet it's like condensed in the school environment. I know it's done better in other animes, like I said, like My Hero, or even in other stuff like Harry Potter or something. But Maybe it could have been better if it was like, I don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the main characters travel the world and stuff and whatever, and they're just developing their characters along the way. That'd be nice, I guess. But other than that, but again, I mean, I don't think that alone would save the show. The show is already bad enough. But Slayers. So we have the main characters. I'm going to talk about them real quick. We have Lena Inverse. She's the main character and whatnot. She's a redhead sorceress and whatnot. She's able to use different types of magic, dark magic, light magic, and shamanism. But she specializes in dark magic, and she's also low key a swordsman and whatnot. She doesn't really use swordsmanship much unless she's unless her sorcery has been suppressed or something, or whatever, or something's happened, then yeah, she'll probably turn to being a swordsman or whatnot and use that in battle because she does carry a sword on her, that type of thing. And then yeah, so, and she's also well renowned and whatnot, so she's a very powerful sorcerer that likes to go around killing bandits and stuff. So she definitely has a reputation, and she's definitely no stranger to danger and whatnot. Which I feel like Rose, for example, like, again, the thing about Rose, one of my problems with this character, besides her being annoying, is that she's a total, like, she's a complete amateur, right? But yet she's out here taking on taking on experienced fighters and stuff, which is like random plot armor. You know what I mean? So at least with Lena, she at least has some covers here that, okay, that her magic is really powerful and whatnot, and she knows some really powerful spells, and that she's also a swordsman and whatnot. Especially since she has a background, because her mom and her sister are both sorcerers, and her dad's a swordsman, so there's that. Then we have Gallery Gabriel. He's the Deuteragonist and stuff. Gallery is a swordsman as well, in blue clad armor. He's the only one of the group that can't use magic, but he's also a blind guy and whatnot, just like Aster and whatnot, which I will probably compare that in a second to that episode. But anyways, Gallery, blonde guy, blue eyes, good swordsman. He's kind of an idiot, but yeah, and he's also a mercenary, and he's also Lena's bodyguard, and watches over her basically, and whatnot. That's Gallery Gabriel. And then we have Princess Amelia. Amelia, she's the princess of this kingdom called Seirun, and pretty much about Amelia, she's kind of a weird kind of girl. She's very self-righteous and talks about and preaches about justice and whatnot. I guess I could see why people might find her to be a little annoying, but personally I enjoy it. I find it to be really comedic at times, but still, Amelia, mostly she's a priestess, and she practices like light magic and stuff, and light magic is about purification and healing and stuff, which again also done better in Slayers is the power system and whatnot, because at least with the power or the magic system, they have dark magic, which is like basically energy that's drawn on from dark lords and stuff and monsters. And then there's light magic, which is mostly just healing and purification and stuff. And then there's shamanism, which is basically just spiritual attacks and stuff. But Amelia is also able to use shamanism as a defense and whatnot. She's the weakest and the youngest character, but still, she can handle herself at times, and she can definitely be a good support to the team. And then there's Zelgadis, who's probably the most badass character in the entire series, if I'm going to be honest with you. Zelgadis is a swordsman, and on top of that, he's also able to use shamanism. He's a shaman as well. But mostly what's more notable about him is that he's a chimera. So, I mean, he's a human. He was originally human until his former boss and ancestor, Rezo, had mutated him or turned him into a chimera. So 1/3 of him is part golem, the other third is human, and the other third is demon. So mostly Zelgadis has his own subplot where he's just trying to find his own way to find his own way of restoring himself back to normal, because he wants to be human again. But it does definitely serve his purpose, though. He's much stronger and durable than any regular human and whatnot. So yeah, again, one of the most badass characters in this series. So yeah, so that's the main characters. They all seem already, by description, better than those characters that I mentioned before, like Rose, Parsley, Sage, and Time, right? And obviously there are more characters in the side Slayers that kind of come and go and join the main party and leave, like Zelos, Sophiliel, and Pakoda. But I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just talking about those main four, part of the original, like part of the main party and stuff, just those four. So let me talk about I'm not going to talk about the whole series, but I'm going to talk about the first season of Slayers. So So the first part of the Slayers is like kind of a mini arc, which is condensed in like 10 episodes, told in a fully fleshed out, complete story, or not fleshed out, but at least told in a good, complete story and a satisfying conclusion and whatnot, compared to High Guardian Spice, where basically in the first episode, Lena meets Gallery and stuff, and basically, Lena stole some treasure from some bandits and stuff that she was killing, because that's something that Lena likes to do. She likes to steal stolen goods. So she killed a lot of bandits, stole their treasure, and then that same group of bandits kind of came after her to take back that treasure. And even though Lena could have just taken care of them herself and whatnot, Gallery, just a random mercenary who was just traveling around as well, just so happened to notice this and thought that Lena was in trouble, and then ends up defending her and whatnot. And Lena's like, I could handle this myself, but then, he's being all nice and chivalrous, and this is probably my part where I had to play the damsel and stuff. So Lena was just, it's like, just playing along, just being all funny and stuff. And Gallery takes care of them and whatnot, and then he meets Lena, and he's like, oh, she's just a kid. I was like looking for a babe or something, that's Gallery. But nonetheless, he wants to protect Lena and whatnot because he finds her to be, a young teenage girl that's traveling by herself, and he wants to accompany her and whatnot because, who knows, she can get in trouble, and he wasn't aware of her sorcerer abilities. But even still, he probably still would have looked out for her nonetheless, until like the end of the episode where she does show off her sorcery abilities, and Gallery's like, oh man, and she like actually kills a dragon and whatnot intentionally. Let me stop. But compared to that, to the sixth episode of High Guardian, where basically all the characters was shitting on that one blonde white kid and stuff, who was supposed to be like this, oh, he's a swordsman and stuff, and oh, he's supposed to be the pretty boy, but he's a capper, and then everybody just hates him, and the writing hates him, and I'm like, okay, just because he lies a little bit or he has a bit of an ego doesn't mean that he's a terrible person, or doesn't mean that he deserves to get a hammer dropped on his foot, and the teacher laughing at him. Like, what kind of message are you guys trying to send? But back on topic. So Slayer, so that's the first episode, and then the second episode is more so about them going into the actual plot of the first mini arc, where basically in a part of that treasure there is a certain artifact or a certain item and whatnot, called the Philosopher's Stone, that a guy named Zelgadis has been looking for, and Zelgadis wants to take it for himself so he could defeat his boss, the Red Priest Rezo and stuff, and Rezo also wants that same artifact so he can unleash a powerful demon named Shapur Nikto. So yeah, stuff like that, and all that stuff, like eventually Rezo does get the you gotta watch it yourself, but eventually, you have all that stuff, and it happens in the first 10 episodes and whatnot, and it's amazing. It's fun to watch. The characters are fun. The action, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like, on some Naruto, Dragon Ball Z type of shonen anime, but it's nice. It's pretty cool. Some strategic type of stuff. It's nice. Definitely like makes me think of like some RPG kind of stuff where it's like attack, use magic, healing, that type of thing. That's how they fight in Slayers, and I like that. And what I really do. But and Slayers, like I said, it does have some pretty notable voice actors and stuff. I'll probably get into that later. But and definitely, I love the music. It's sung by, again, I've mentioned her earlier in this video, Megumi Hayashibara and stuff. She's a really good voice actress, a really great voice actress, really popular one, the one with the book and stuff. She definitely voiced Lena in the Japanese version, and she sung the opening and the outros and stuff. So yeah, amazing voice actors. So definitely check out Slayers. It's an awesome series. But my advice on how to make this show a lot more better, how to make, not Slayers, but how to make High Spice Guardian or High Guardian Spice, how to make that show better. In my opinion, I think the best course of action of making this show better is just canceling it. Don't even give it a season 2, just cancel it. Because one, people are already pissed off about the whole Crunchyroll stuff and them taking their money and using it to produce shit shows like this and whatnot, when they actually wanted more other animes and stuff from, but instead they give us this in return. So thanks, Crunchyroll. But anywho, so find a way to refund those people, cancel the show, restart the and if there's like a fandom or something, or people that are actually into this series, I would recommend, like, if the creators actually are serious about High Guardian Spice, I would say that they gotta drop this show and then restart it as an independent comic or something, and then you will have the fans who are into the show who can read the independent comic, and if they do better, like I don't know, cut off the dead weight, like I don't know, Kate Leth, who talks shit about men, is all like, oh well, Harry Potter's too white and too straight to be too white and too straight. Oh, Stan Lee's a creep. Yeah, she actually said that about Stan the Legend Lee. So I know, what a bitch, right? But anyways, so Kate Leth and then is totally unapologetic about it. And yeah, she's like, oh, I got Tumblr built. Excuses, I swear. But yeah, anyways, yeah, cut off the deadweight writers like that, because all they do is just give you bad publicity. And what else? Yeah, like I said, Restart is just an independent comic, and then if it does well, then bring it back to just being a show, and drop the identity politics and stuff. I mean, look, if Ray Rodriguez is actually serious about writing good stories and stuff, he should actually concern himself with telling good stories instead of concerning himself telling stories about, oh well, identity politics. And I'm not saying you can't have a gay or trans character inside your thing. I'm just saying just don't make it so like don't hyper emphasize on it. You know what I mean? Or hyper focus on it. You know, it's just dumb. Like nobody cares. It's kind of getting like repetitive at this point in time, where everything you like, every time like I turn around and I see something, it's always gotta be some SJW garbage like this. So that's all I gotta say there on High Guardian Spice and whatnot. It's a really terrible show. But if you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, which a lot of you, and myself included, don't, then you don't. But I hope you guys enjoyed my video. This has been a review bomb by yours truly. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is the Keenest Fox, and I am out. Peace. And until we meet again.